What if I told you that the man who revolutionized our understanding of life itself was once considered a complete failure by his own father? Charles Darwin, the genius behind evolution, was labeled lazy and told he'd bring disgrace to his family name. Picture this. It's 1827 and young Charles Darwin is a medical student at Edinburgh University. But there's a problem. He can't stand the sight of blood. He faints during surgeries and finds lectures boring beyond belief. His professors think he's hopeless. His father, frustrated and embarrassed, tells him he cares for nothing but shooting, dogs, and rat catching, and called him a disgrace to the family name. Ouch. Darwin drops out of medical school. Strike one. His father then pushes him toward becoming a clergyman. Basically, the family's backup plan for their disappointing son. Darwin reluctantly enrolls at Cambridge, more interested in collecting beetles than studying theology. He's seen as an average student with no clear direction in life. At 22, Darwin is a college graduate with no job prospects, no passion for his intended career, and a reputation as the family disappointment. He was aimless and obsessed with collecting bugs while everyone else chased careers. He was the guy people pitied at family dinners. Most people would have given up on any dreams of making a difference. But then came the letter that changed everything. Professor John Henslow recommended Darwin for an unpaid position as a naturalist aboard HMS Beagle, a 5-year voyage around the world. Darwin's father initially refused, calling it a useless undertaking. But Darwin's uncle intervened, and reluctantly, his father agreed. This wasn't just a career move, it was Darwin's chance to prove he wasn't the failure everyone thought he was. At 22, seasick and homesick, Darwin began collecting specimens and making observations that would later shake the foundations of science. During those 5 years at sea, the failure transformed into a meticulous scientist. He collected over 5,000 specimens, filled 1,800 pages of notes, and began forming the ideas that would become his theory of evolution. The young man who couldn't handle medical school was now dissecting birds, studying geology, and making discoveries that established scientists back home found remarkable. When he returned to England, Darwin was no longer the family disappointment. He was a respected naturalist with groundbreaking theories. But Darwin's greatest test was yet to come. For 20 years, he wrestled with publishing his theory of evolution, knowing it would be controversial. The man who once feared disappointing his family now had to risk disappointing the entire world's view of creation. In 1859, he published On the Origin of Species. The book that almost didn't exist because its author was once considered a failure became one of the most influential scientific works in human history. Darwin didn't just overcome his failures. He used them to fuel one of humanity's greatest intellectual achievements. The medical school dropout who couldn't stand blood became the scientist who explained the blood connections between all living things. The lazy beetle collector became the man who collected evidence for the most important biological theory ever proposed. Darwin's story isn't about genius. It's about choosing purpose over pressure and curiosity over comfort. It reminds us that our greatest failures often disguise our greatest opportunities. Sometimes what looks like the end is actually the beginning of something extraordinary. As Mr. Ambot would say, "You failed when you stop."